This video was sponsored by Exo Terra. My friend Logan, who works at Exo Terra, reached out to me a while back and wanted to collaborate on a video. So we decided on making a massive enclosure for my Chinese Cave Gecko. Not only would he have Exo Terra send me the enclosure, lights, misting system, and other supplies that I would need, he also offered to personally sculpt a cave background that I could use. I sent him over a few photos for reference to give him an idea of what I was looking for. Exo Terra shipped me the supplies, and then Logan drove all the way to the open house I had here to deliver the background in person. I can prove to people.
Prove to people.
Look, I have friends, kind of. Say hello to the camera.
What up?
Jesus, you're ugly.
So we were able to get her to walk right over the hand and help out with getting her to that fear. So super
Very
cool to have
cool.
her out, super calm.
Thank you for doing that, man.
Anytime, yeah.
Appreciate it. Guys having fun? Yeah? Awesome. Having a good time?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. How did you do it?
Can you do a little cheesier than that?
Okay.
That was
How did you do it?
there you
I'm just gonna go ahead and start recording.
That's fine. So this is for your 36 by 18 for your Chinese Cave Gecko.
Right. Oh, wow.
Holy!
That is beautiful. So how did you do this?
It's all just foam and concrete and dry lock and time. Do you remember that picture you sent me of the cave in China that you're
I
like,
do.
I want this?
Yeah.
Do you remember the statue that was in that cave?
Yep. Oh,
Exact replica.
that is awesome. Very cool.
So I can either sit like in the cave here, or you
Yeah,
can
like
sit
there.
it outside or something. So these are for plants, and they have drainage tubes, like airline tubing. So
Okay.
if you poured water in there, it would drain into here and then drain out the bottom. So your plants will be happy.
Thank you, man. I look forward to using this. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Glad you like it. So put it in.
Don't break my new enclosure.
Or your new background.
That looks amazing. Thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
So this is the Exo Terra large wide natural terrarium that measures 36 by 18 by 18 inches, which is equivalent to about a 50-gallon tank. We have the background installed already, and I will be putting plants in those pre-made containers. And the background even has a viewing window into the cave. Exo Terra also sends some forest canopy tropical plant growth LED lights, the compact top terrarium canopy that fits perfectly on top of this enclosure, and a thermostat and hygrostat temperature and humidity controller. I will be hooking that up to the Monsoon Multi-Tube programmable misting system and heat mat that they sent, so my cave gecko will always have the optimal day and night temperatures and humidity. But what I am the most excited about is the Terra Sky UVB terrarium light that they sent, because this light is a very energy efficient solution for your bioactive and planted terrariums, with a fully customizable light spectrum capable of replicating various natural environments, as well as adjustable UVA and UVB that last for 20,000 hours or over 4 years. You can even raise and lower the level of both types of UV lights separately using the remote, so it's perfect for this enclosure. For the natural decor, I'm going to be using the Exo Terra Stone Desert. I am combining the Outback Red, the Sonoran Ochre, and Bahariya Black. For the hardscape, I am using some cork branches I picked up from the Biodude, as well as the Biodude's Terra Firma Substrate, Terrarium Moss, Sphagnum Moss, Leaf Litter, and Bioshot. I will have an affiliate link for the Biodude down below in the description, and any order you place using my link will help support this channel. In a large bucket, I am mixing the Terra Firma, the Bioshot, some dry Sphagnum Moss, the Leaf Litter, and some clean water. Then I mix it up really well by hand to make sure everything is evenly distributed. I am adding some of this substrate I just mixed up into the planters built into the background. Now I'm adding some creeping fig plants into the top planter, so it will slowly grow across and down the background to really give it that naturalistic look. All the plants I'm using in this enclosure I also picked up from the BioDude. I ordered a tropical plant pack and a desert plant pack, so I'm not sure exactly what all these plants are named. But if you contact the BioDude and let them know what kind of enclosure you're setting up, they can recommend the best plants for that species. Now I'm going to add the rest of the substrate into the bottom of the enclosure. I have not observed this species doing much burrowing, so I'm just going to add enough depth for the plants to really take root and thrive. And I have to make sure I get plenty of the substrate back in that cave. I'm going to fill the bottom with some plants. The right side of the enclosure is going to be cooler and more humid, so I'm putting the more tropical plants on that side. But the left side, where I'm going to put the heat pad, will be more warm and dry, giving the gecko a nice temperature and humidity gradient within the enclosure. And to help maintain humidity, I am using some live terrarium moss in the corners, crevices, and deep in the cave. I like to fully saturate the moss before putting it into the enclosure. This seems to really help kickstart the moss into growing. Over time, this moss will grow and spread out while slowly releasing humidity into the air in between mistings. Both to help with humidity, but mostly for aesthetic purposes, I like to break up some of the sphagnum moss and sprinkle it around the top of the substrate. This really helps give the enclosure a more real and natural appearance. Once that's done, I'm going to sprinkle some of the Exo Terra Stone Desert around the enclosure, starting off with a base layer of the Sonoran Ochre. Then I want to make sure to brush off any substrate that might have gotten stuck to the background before I begin sprinkling some of the Outback Red Stone Desert on the ledges and across the bottom. Finally, I'm going to add a thick layer of the Bahariya Black Stone Desert, both on the ledges and on the ground, to really simulate a natural environment and provide some good contrast. To finish it off, I'm adding some dried leaf litter all across the bottom, both for looks and to provide the isopods and springtails with cover and food. After adding the water dish, I am going to add the springtails in multiple locations within the enclosure. Then it is time to release the isopods. For this enclosure, I've decided to add the Armadillium maculatum, as they will do well in the cooler tropical environment and are very efficient at breaking down waste and organics. They also grow large enough that the cave gecko can snack on them, helping keep their population in check. Now it's time to hook up the misting system. The Monsoon Multi 2 has a 2-gallon reservoir and can easily supply water up to 6 nozzles with strong pressure. It is super easy to connect, install, and program. It's probably one of the simplest misting systems out there, and I have 2 of them already that I've been using for years now with no problems at all. So let's get the lid locked back down and set up the lights. I am putting the compact top on the front of the enclosure so it is over the plants. To start off with, I'm only going to use 2 of the forest LED bulbs, but I may add more later depending on the plant's needs, as long as more light won't stress out my gecko. Then I'm going to set up the Terra Sky UV LED light over the back left half of the enclosure so the UVA and UVB light will be directly over the basking ledge, while also reaching the plants throughout the enclosure. I decided to add a heat mat to the cave side of the enclosure, but I don't want the cave to get too warm, so I am offsetting it slightly so it will only be on part of the cave, but also on the open side. I hope this will keep the cave a little cooler while also providing a warm rock face on the far left side of the enclosure. This will also help keep the cave humid while keeping the substrate more dry for the arid plants. To help with maintaining that temperature gradient, but also for safety reasons, I'm going to plug the heat mat into the thermostat that Exo Terra supplied, and I will put the sensor probe right next to the heat pad on the inside of the glass. This cave background already provides my cave gecko with a large hide as well as a few smaller indentations along the bottom for him to use his hides as well, not to mention all the ledges and tunnels. So the only real hardscape I need to do is add some cork branches. This will provide more enrichment by giving him even more things to climb on, as well as help him reach some of the ledges more easily. So it looks like the enclosure is ready. The cleanup crew is settling in, the ledges are basking in UVA and UVB light, and the plants are taking root. It is time to finally move in the Chinese Cave Gecko. He is not the easiest gecko to handle. He is quick and skittish, but he's never tried to bite me or anything like that. Once I got him settled down and in the enclosure, he took off exploring and seems to really like the natural rock face. So a huge thank you to Exo Terra for sponsoring this video and providing me with so many great supplies. I highly recommend you check out the brand new Terra Sky UV LED Terrarium light and try it out for yourself in your next bioactive enclosure build. It's much more energy efficient and lasts a lot longer than traditional UV bulbs and doesn't put off nearly as much heat. So it is perfect for reptiles that like a cooler environment like the Chinese Cave Gecko. But I can also use this light for my tarantulas and scorpions that I keep in bioactive enclosures because the plants really love the UVA light, and the bioluminescence mode will make your scorpions glow. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. Check out all the links down below in the description if you want to see any of these products for yourself. Thanks again for buying Tarantula Collective merchandise and using my affiliate links to help support this channel. And as always, I will see you next Tuesday.